Hey, Rochester, Tariq here with DJ Sight on the WDKX Wake Up Club After Show, taking segments from Rochester's #1 rated morning show, The Wake Up Club, and extending them here on the WDKX Podcast Network. Today's site having to do with, it was a busy week in the Trump administration.
Definitely, man. And a lot of it has to do with the media. He had a few press conferences this week, which to me looked staged.
Yeah, well, they
look like prompt questions.
Well, I mean, when you don't want to answer tough questions, you're going to get the people in the room that are going to ask you the cupcake ones.
Well, I guess now Trump is giving until June 30th. So later this year, he's going to cut federal funding for public broadcasting networks such as PBS and NPR.
Oh, all right. Well, you can read it like I am right now. WDKX's app, WDKX.com. Before we get to that, though, I will say this. There's been a lot of sort of discussion on what goes on. I do want to recognize you can go to WDKX app and read a bit about the 6888 story, the all-female unit in World War II that got the Congressional Medal. But that kind of got lost in this media discussion we're having right now. That's what makes it so interesting is that was earlier this week, and all this other stuff has like been put in front of that. You know what I'm saying? So you can read that story. But that being said, though, there is this concern about asking really tough questions that everybody seems to be running away from.
Yeah.
And it's okay to ask tough questions because every administration has to. But when we start now deciding whether or not who gets money based on how they treat me or how I look when you ask me a question, we're going down that dangerous alley of I'm only going to talk to people who won't challenge me or tell me why they made a decision that I might not agree with. And I thought one of the things we talked about in this country is freedom of speech and freedom of the press.
Well, the way it seems that's being taken away from us, right? Like in with this situation with the public broadcasting getting their federal funding stripped, I guess it was said that, public dollars shouldn't support so-called bias reports, bias news.
All right, so I can here's the thing. I can hear what a leader says and disagree, but I don't understand why you have to take away from the broadcast network that disagrees with what you say. Like that to me is more sinister.
Well, I think if you listen,
like I believe my kids should get an education. I might not agree with everything being taught in school, but I do understand the structure of school. Like I don't pull my kid out because I don't believe in the science.
Well, I think, when we were going through the presidential the race, the debates and things that Joe Biden was doing, everybody questioned Joe Biden's his health. Everybody, I don't know if he's the right mental state. I don't, so whether it was a news station that supported Joe Biden or didn't, that was a discussion that was reported. When you hear things that, the Trump administration is doing, you're cutting dollars for this, you're cutting dollars for that, you're cutting education, you're cutting this, you're cutting that, you're cutting that. I mean, that's what you're doing. So that's what's going to be talked about.
I just think when we set a precedence like this, a lot of people are just like, well, yeah, let him do what he wants to do until he cuts what you believe in.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say they believe in certain things, but then when it comes down to it, they're not willing to push back on things that are uncomfortable like this. And then next thing you know, we went from a free country to a dictatorship.
And that's what it feels like. That's where it's going. Anyone that speaks out against this administration will pay one way or another. Not like, you go in those third world countries where you talk against the leadership and they off with your head. It's none of that. It's more of, you know what? We're just going to take the money away from you and watch you suffer.
I'm just saying it sets it. I get it. It makes people jar a little bit. They might take it away. They may not take it away.
We saw what happened with Harvard.
Well, yeah. Well, you also saw what happened when they cut jobs immediately from the government and had to rehire these people again. So, I mean, could there be a flip-flopping thing that goes on? Yeah, that's fine. But the initial shock of doing something like that and then either taking it back, knowing full well that you were actually willing to do it, it's just interesting to me. I know there's a lot of people that have certain standards and qualities that they preach Does this sound like something you're down with? And if you are, how far are you down with it if it affects you later on down the line?
Well, I mean, right now, let's just we're looking at the media right now. I mean, public broadcasting, they definitely get federal dollars. He believes that that's biased news, and he's cutting their funding. So that's a start of silencing freedom of speech.
Controlling media, very scary. I don't know about y'all, but this is why we had the after show. We are 103.9 WDKX, Rochester's #1 rated radio station.